Okay, so this afternoon we have 5 items for the board to consider as action items, 3 of which relate really to students' recruitment and retention. The other 2 are for services related to keys and locks and printing services. So with that, I'm going to have David Doré. Well, Jeff, first, why don't you read the recommendation, and then we'll have David and Ian.
So the first item, the way the agenda is currently structured, is the IGA with the City of Tucson for educational services. Is it okay if I just go ahead in the order that the agenda was set? Okay, yes. Thank you. So for the first item, the recommendation is that the governing board authorize the chancellor or designee to execute a 2-year intergovernmental agreement with the City of Tucson for provision of educational services by the college.
Okay, so I need to offer, we need a motion for that, Lee, is that right?
Yes, please.
Yes. Do I have a motion in support of that, Jeff or Louise?
So, right, so the normal process we'd follow is ask for a motion in support of the recommendation and then see if there's a second, and if there's a second, we would have discussion.
Okay, do I have a motion in support of the recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. So as I understand it, this just defers billing for classes. It's not really a discount to the city. Is that correct? Just defers the billing till the end of the course?
That's correct. And we're excited. So essentially the city's participating in our tuition reimbursement program. So we then at the end of the semester will invoice the city for the tuition.
And just so Mark, if you wouldn't mind, just so you know the broader context, we've been working with area employers to really try to leverage the tuition reimbursement opportunities that are available. And we've been able to present how they can leverage this opportunity for their employees. And we're just so pleased that the city has been willing to partner with us to be able to make this more available to their folks.
Sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah, and then it's a wonderful career pathway for the employees of the City of Tucson.
If I may, Jeff, I think Maria has joined us.
I think that's right. Ms. Garcia, have you been able to join the call?
Maria, you're on mute.
Okay. I only had one question, and that was for myself anyway, is if the students don't complete the course, or if they fail, or, or they drop out, whatever the case may be, does the college still get paid?
Yes.
Yeah, essentially, the student will need to pay.
Okay, somebody will pay.
Yes.
Okay. Because, well, the reason I bring that up is because I know that at Raytheon, some students would sign up and we have a reimbursement program, and then the students wouldn't complete. And then I know that the company didn't pay.
So
okay.
just,
I'm going to interrupt this. Oh, there's Damien. Damien's with us now. Okay.
So
you're on mute, Damien.
I apologize. I was on waiting on a Zoom on a different, the one that
Chancellor and Dr. Doré, if I may add a little bit
yes,
of detail on
Ian,
that.
Ian, please go ahead, Ian.
So every entity with whom we enter into an agreement for tuition reimbursement, that entity gets to set the parameters for their employees, as long as those parameters are within the scope of our policy in Arizona state law. And so what in the Raytheon case, or in the case of the city, oftentimes those parameters are based on course completion as well as specific grade requirements in the course. In the scope of the broader agreement, it lets you know, like, when if the student meets the parameters of the employer, that's where we invoice the employer, in this case the City of Tucson. Otherwise, student accounts at the college then shifts the onus of that cost responsibility over to the student if they don't meet those parameters. This is a great service to employers, because so an added benefit is, in addition to the deferment of the tuition, we are doing all of that back-end work on behalf of the employer, and they see that as an added value and an efficiency, and it actually leads to an increase in the number of people whom that employer sends to us as a result.
Any further discussion or questions?
No.
Luis?
No,
Okay,
no questions.
okay, great. Then I think we'll call a vote. All in favor of the motion on the table? Say aye.
Aye.
Meredith, could you just repeat the motion? I'm sorry.
Jeff? Sorry, you weren't here.
Sure.
Jeff,
The
can you
motion
repeat?
is that the chancellor or designee is authorized to execute a 2-year intergovernmental agreement with the city of Tucson for provision of educational services by the college.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. What's next?
Jeff, why don't you go ahead and read the recommendation for the next Honeywell agreement?
Thank you, Chancellor. So the next item has to do with a contract with Honeywell International, and the recommendation is that the governing board authorize the chancellor or designee to execute an agreement with Honeywell International to implement planned security features such as access card readers for doors, cameras, and security alarm panels, as well as the maintenance and software required to operate these systems. Total cost for the 1-year purchasing agreement for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021 are not expected to exceed $2.6 million.
So do we
Okay,
have?
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Damon, it's all yours.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
I have a question.
Well, can we need a motion first and then we want to have discussion?
Okay,
Or is it technically about the motions?
no.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Seconded by Mark. Motion by Meredith. Discussion.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my question is, so are you gonna put cameras in all the facilities? And then the other part is if we don't complete this contract, for example, say that we were to put the cameras and card readers as an example in the Northwest campus, and then it had to be sold. Are we still liable for that contract? Or could those items be moved to another facilities?
Yes, would you guys like, would you like me to, board or chair, would you like me to explain this
Yes,
thoroughly?
yes, Mr. Ward, please.
So Bill, let me just set the kind of a context for all of this first. First piece is this has been part of a multi-year strategy that we had briefed the board on related to our whole key and lock systems,
Right.
and our security systems. So this is just another phase of that. In terms of, with respects to our campuses, if we were considering potentially selling a facility, that will not happen. It is very unlikely that would happen within the next, this fiscal year. So just kind of so that you're aware of that. And even before we even get that far along, that is something we would be discussing with the board as part of our normal processing. So that's why I say it's highly unlikely that we would be selling Northwest or any other location at this point in time. Bill, why don't you go ahead and then elaborate on the camera piece?
Okay, all right. Chair Klinko, members of the board. And so what you have in front of you is an approval, as the chancellor said, is an agreement that's been in place for some time. We did an RFP and went out literally throughout the US and selected Honeywell as our vendor to provide the college card access and camera systems throughout the district. And so the not to exceed price, as the chancellor said, it's 2.6. 275,000 will go towards the Aviation Expansion Center. Another 275,000 will go towards the new Automotive Technology Innovation Center. 320,000 will go through for cameras throughout the college district. And just know that is 1/3 of what we have left to do. Also, the remaining 1.68 would be card access throughout the district. That would be 1/3 of 224 doors that are left, and what we're mainly looking at is outside doors. And yes, yes, these systems could literally be moved if we needed to, because we put the front end in all of our facilities years ago. And so if we did want to pull the cameras and card readers, we actually could. Although I will tell the board that when we sold the community campus, actually the system that was there went with that sale, and so did the solar system. And so we could remove them if needed, or at the end of the day, we could use them if we did sell. The other thing too is to know is right now, if there was an issue related to North and East or some other facilities, as I stated earlier, this wouldn't cover, we've got a long way to go. And so if we wanted to pinpoint sites like downtown, West Campus, Desert Vista, we could. It's just that, you know, as the chancellor said, this is just another phase in this process of trying to ensure that we have card access and cameras throughout the district.
And Bill, just as a follow-up, could you tell us when the community campus was sold? I mean, what these improvements were taken into the consideration of the valuation, correct?
Yes, they exactly were. They were part of that assessment, including the solar, that actually increased. They did help increase the, well, actually too, think about it. It was our fire alarm system and everything that actually was appraised as part of the total value of that facility. And then and then part of that cost also, part of the $2.6 million is $50,000 as part of a maintenance contract. And so just so you guys know, Pima has a very, very strong relationship with Honeywell. They probably access our sites daily. They are a major partner with us now in managing and helping manage and maintain the system. And we've been very proud of how it's operated. I mean, we would love to have it everywhere, but these things are expensive. And just to let the board know too, that when we went out years ago, when we picked this system, it's the same system that Sky Harbor Airport utilizes in Phoenix.
And so just to be super clear, so if we were to sell one of our campuses, we would get a depreciated value return. So if we were to sell it in 2 years or 3 years, we would get that value back from the installation of this system as part of a sale.
Exactly. Because all they have to do is just disconnect it. You know, just like what we did with just like we did when we sold community campus. They just disconnected it from our system and it just became there. So we would definitely get that value out of it. And the same with solar too. If we sell, you know, that goes too with these facilities. Both North, West, and East have solar also, and we've already gone through that process too. So we know also how to make that happen.
So,
So you said this is 1/3 of what's still left to do in terms of card readers on
Yeah,
doors?
we have about 224 doors left, and it's 1/3 of that.
So when do you estimate us?
Actually, no, that's 200. I'm wrong. That's 224 doors that this will take care of. We have our goal is to implement. We completed and spent all the money from last year, and then our goal is to knock this out as fast as we possibly can, because my boss has given me a deadline that I have to have this stuff up and running and out there before the close of this fiscal year.
When do you anticipate having all the campuses complete?
I mean, that's something I think that would be worth, Mark, maybe down the road. And the chancellor and I have talked about this, about maybe possibly talking about it, having another study session related to safety and security, because it all depends on what we want to do. You know, you can put these things on every door. The chancellor and I went to a facility in Colorado to where every door had a card reader. Right now, we have not been looking at it that way. We've been trying to put them on the outside doors. And so it all depends on where the board wanted to go with. The strategy that we've been using, Mark, is that we've done the card access and cameras, and you guys have probably seen these little tracker boxes that we put everywhere where people can go in and use their badge and open that up and then get a key. And so we're doing kind of a multi-pronged approach. But I would say that we could probably finish the district within, I would say, 3 years, but it's would not be cheap if we were literally to put card access on every door. And I think one of the things that we've been trying to do is have multiple technologies to get us to that place. I think we've got a good plan. But remember too, the Pima, we're 2 million square feet of facilities. And so it could get pricey, but 3 years I think would be to get everything in the college. If we were to put it on everything would be reasonable, but that's a lot of money that you guys would have to approve.
Ms. Garcia, do you have any other questions as a follow-up from the answer?
No.
Oh, and also too, we are receiving GSA pricing on everything.
Okay. Any other concerns from board members? Mr. Gonzalez, Dr. Hay? Okay. Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the contract for HP Managed Print Services 2020 through 2025. Mr. Sylvan, if you could please read the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Chancellor recommends the governing board authorize the Chancellor or designee to execute a contract with Hewlett-Packard for managed print services for the support services, supplies, and maintenance of all college-owned printers, scanners, and fax machines. Total costs for the 5-year agreement from 2020 to 2025 are not expected to exceed $1.2 million.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Ms. Garcia, motion by Dr. Hay. Now a discussion, Chancellor. Well, first of all, are there any questions generally?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none then, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Gonzalez?
I said aye.
Okay, you were muted, just checking. Anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Our next item is 2.4, the academic year 2020-2021 STU courses at no cost for tuition or service fees. Mr. Sylvan, if you could read the recommendation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Chancellor recommends the governing board approve the college providing student success courses, that's STU or STU courses, for academic year 2020 through 21 at no cost for tuition or service fees. This change will provide students increased access to STU courses and should serve as encouragement and additional support for students who are concerned about returning to college or taking courses online due to COVID-19, as well as students preparing to transfer to a 4-year university.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Mark Hanna. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Hay. And now a discussion. Chancellor Lambert, do you want to give us just a little bit of background and then we can ask
Yes,
questions?
absolutely. So, and this background actually applies to both of the items at the end of the agenda. So as you know, this has been a most extraordinary year for higher education. A number of institutions have been looking at creative ways to incentivize recruitment as well as retention of new and current students. So we took a look at ways we might be able to do something similar, stay within what we felt we could support from a budgetary standpoint, but also create the incentive to attract and retain individuals. So Dave B took the lead in coming up with some options, and the options are now the two that we're presenting before you now. So I'd love to have Dave and Dolores or David answer any questions you might have related to the next two items.
So my big question, I'm going to just jump in, is, we have created similar or other types of initiatives over the years. I think about our lifelong learner discount, and we haven't invested the resources to really promote that these programs are up and operational, and we haven't really seen the return as robustly as I think we had all hoped. So can you talk a little bit about what is the intent to really get the message out that these are being offered, so it really is serving as an incentive to get people engaged in the college?
So one of the reasons to have this done now is that we would build it into our marketing efforts with students. And so Lisa is prepared to integrate this into our current efforts. And I'm not sure if Lisa's online at the moment. Lisa, are you on?
I think, Chair Klinko, this also, in our marketing, demonstrates our commitment to student success. We have clear data that we have higher persistence and higher retention of the students who are taking the student success courses. And we're communicating to the students that we care about your success and we're not going to charge you to take these courses.
Yeah, first of all, I firmly believe this is a great idea. I'm not sure it's going to draw any students to enroll because of that, although every college or university, pretty much every college or university, requires you to take these classes. The U of A does, and most other schools do. The good news is that they really do work. They really do help students, especially students who are coming back, who haven't studied in a long time. They need study skills, and even the students coming out of high school need to learn what it's like to be in college. I do have a question. The next proposal, the rebate, requires the student to be self-paid. Does this one also require that, or does it not matter how you're funding, you would still get these classes free, correct?
Yeah, this is not
all of
dependent on
the
that.
sections, all of the STU sections will be charged no tuition. So it won't be regardless of how the student is paying for them, or where the payment would be coming from otherwise.
So Chair Klinko, I'd like to add a little bit more about this. So as part of the media and trying to promote these courses, is that we have done a lot of virtual sessions. So for example, on Monday, we had a virtual enrollment fair in partnership with Dustin Williams, the superintendent, Pima County Superintendent of Schools. We had over 100 students and parents there. So we will continue doing efforts like these, and we can promote this to the high schools and involve the counselors so they make sure to let the students know that this is available to them. And I think last night we had an Instagram FAFSA workshop for students, incoming students as well. So these are different avenues that we can use to promote this. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions on this item?
No.
Okay. Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Gonzalez, you're still on mute.
Aye.
Okay, terrific.
Aye.
So that's the motion unanimously carries. The next item is the 2.4 academic year 2020-2021, fall 20 tuition rebate program. Mr. Sylvan, if you could read the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Chancellor recommends the Governing Board authorize the Chancellor or designee to create a rebate program for qualified students in the fall 2020 term. The proposed rebate is up to $100 per student, depending on the individual's out-of-pocket payments for tuition and service fees. This rebate will be provided via the student account after November 9, 2020.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt? Is there a motion to adopt the recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Gonzalez, the motion by Dr. Hay. Mr. Lambert, if you just want to give us a little bit of details on this as well.
So I'm going to have Dave kind of just talk about why we structured the way we structured it, along with the fact that we made it tied to self-pay. So Dave, would you?
Well, much like the STU program that we just talked about, what we were looking to do was to create some programs that would create encouragement for students who may be hesitant to enroll in college, that we would provide them the student support resources for them to be successful, and then also to provide some financial encouragement in the form of a rebate. Why the rebate is that what we really wanted to do, and this came from the initial conversation with Lee, was we want to give people the encouragement to give the college a try, right? Give these, whether it's an online class or a different way of delivery, that give us a chance, give us the time to make sure that you are successful. And that's where the rebate comes in, where the money would go back to the student late in the term. That also, the added benefit of that is that then we make sure that the student has paid in full, so that they've paid their bill, so that they don't register for class, get into a payment plan, not pay, and then get money back. We didn't want to create an incentive for that. So it sort of hits two different elements or two different concerns at the same time, with the ultimate objective with both of these programs to really be an encouragement for students who are on the fence to say, hey, I'm willing to give this a try, and then the college, it's up to the college to help them be successful.
Are there any additional questions for Dr. B?
Yeah.
Could you tell us what you anticipate the total cost? Oh, sorry, Mr. Hanna, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, you didn't address the self-pay. Why would it be illegal for us to give back if they've used federal money to do it?
Yeah, so it was just to be clear that if someone else is paying for the student, that we wouldn't give the rebate to the student. Like, it wouldn't flow through to the student because they weren't paying in the first place. Right. So it just clarifies it for who's paying the bill and how that rebate works. And it's really intended for self-paying students.
And so just again, this is intended as a marketing tool, but also to sort of acknowledge the cost and sort of get people to complete.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to again have a robust communication strategy to get this out that we're doing this. Yeah. So we're not just giving the rebate to students who are already going to be enrolling, but really the idea is to increase the enrollment numbers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everybody's nodding.
And then Mr. Hanna asked the question about the costs. So we put into the board report that the costs of this are not expected to exceed $1 million. My guess is that it's going to be significantly less than that, probably more in the neighborhood of $700,000. And for these courses, that the additional revenue, or the revenue that we get for the courses, the students essentially fund the direct cost of instruction on our adjunct faculty model. That is to say that they pay for the direct cost of instruction on that adjunct model. They don't support all of the other costs of the college, but that it's not that even with the $100 rebate, that the students are paying a fair share.
And it's $100, 3 credits or more. So it doesn't matter how many credits they take, how little, as long as it's at least 3, correct?
Right. It's a flat rebate. Yeah.
So just to go back to your question, Damien. So we have been engaged in an aggressive social media campaign, and so hosting a lot of these Instagram live events, et cetera, and they're pretty well attended. And so now we can add this into that presentation that we're doing in the social media space, along with anything that our advisors and counselors involved in, as well as any of us who might be involved in some of the direct recruitment of students.
Okay, that sounds great. And maybe we could get an update sort of more broadly, not today, but in the near future, on really what we're doing around all of our these different campaigns, since they're a little different than in the past. I think that would be useful for everyone to hear. Are there any additional questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none.
One question.
Oh, yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
Quick question. As Mr. Hanna mentioned, the limit would be 3, but are we trying to do a full-time students, correct?
No.
Right. It would apply to everybody taking at least 3 credits. So it's 3 credits and above.
So an individual or a student that would take the 6 hours, they will be eligible for the $100 then?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good, but they also need to maintain the criteria in reference to a certain GPA grade.
I see.
At this point, they would have to still be successfully registered and showing up to classes with the hope that they would be successfully, attaining an appropriate GPA. But it's not going to be GPA specific, and it will be before the end of the term also.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. And that,
Thank you.
that
Thank you.
concludes our meeting. So I will go ahead and adjourn. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, you guys, you ready for your